And today we're going to take a look at the idea of masks. And this will help to sometimes put your eyes in the right spot, okay? So today we're going to talk about eyes just a bit. So let me bring up this picture here. Okay, so let's just say this is our sphere. This is going to be our head. Let's go ahead and this time come in here with a brow line like we typically would do. And when I draw this brow line, I'm holding my pencil like this. All right, this is, it allows me to get a nice sweeping curve, you see? And if you wanted to, well, anyway, so that's how I hold it. And I switch back. I switch back both ways, where I have my pencil like this, and then I go back to a more traditional way that you would write. All right, this is the center. There's the center line of that face right there. You see that? So the idea of a mask is if this person was a superhero, you know, the mask might be something like this. All right, and then of course their eyes would be over here like this. If we look at this girl, let me draw on here where her mask goes. So it's going to come down here. It's going to come over here. All right, so that's going to be her mask. Let's go ahead and draw that. So let's see. This is her brow line. Remember, top of her brow line. So her eyebrows are going to come down here, and then don't be afraid to come over here and give it a nice. Give yourself a nice long length there. And all you're doing here is trying to match those shapes. Okay, now once you have this, now it's a little bit easier to kind of envision where this where her eyes are going to go. And then when we come to an eye, I like to think of an eyeball, and I will put in the tear duct on one side, and then I'll figure out where it closes on the other side. You see that? And then I'll think of just the process of wrapping the sphere with the eyelid, that it sits on top of it. Sits on top of it. So here we can then, and this is quick, so you don't have to, don't overthink this. All right. Drop this pupil in. This is a really good practice. You know, I really think it's important to practice drawing lots of quick portrait studies. Quick, and I mean like 10 minutes at the length, and just kind of get through them quickly and start to think about think about where the masses are, where the shapes are, trying to get your eyelids in the right proportion. And that's how it's done. And then, and even if the idea that you like never going to show anyone, that's great. That's fine. Thing is that you have to just get really comfortable with quickly sketching the face. And if you just sketch it fast, 10 minutes at length, a quick portrait, and then do another one, and then do another one, and then do another one, it will start to really lock into a place for you. Okay, I'm going to bring up another picture now. Let's bring up another image. All right, here she is here. Let's go ahead and start with a sphere again. Okay, remember that we were talking about the side. If you're looking at a head straight on, it's very flat along the sides, right? There's our brow line. And there's our center line. All right, let me draw the mask over here. So we're going to come in like this. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Draw it light. You could really use that proportion, the cartoon check, to make sure that your shapes are matching up with this idea. Even though I say like draw a 10-minute portrait, that doesn't mean that you lose control, or you that doesn't mean that you lose concentration. No, you actually are very much focused during that time, and you're going quick, but you're not rushing it, or you're not feel the pressure of being hurried. When I draw the pupils, I look to get the shape of the whites of the eye. I try and look to that as excuse me. Where's this nose here? We could just kind of estimate. by putting some simple nostrils in place, right? When I draw those eyelids, you know, I'm often thinking of something like this. And then for the part that goes over the eye, I like to curve it slightly, you see? I think going with those angles up on top there, that creates a very it just looks very interesting. That's one way to approach it, because you get the contrast with curve versus straight. Once again, let's draw this sphere. Now look at this. It's slightly angled. Do you see that? So let's kind of angle it a little bit. Sides of the face are going to be very flat because we're looking almost straight on. All right, so we're kind of very flat here. There's our angle. Now this is interesting because it's a little bit 3/4. It's slightly the center line. Look at that. The center line is far off to the left. Did you see that? Okay, let's get this eye in place right there, and other one maybe right there, right? Now, because she's looking kind of upward, you know, you could drop your pupil in first. This is a really good exercise to make sure her eyes are pointing in the right direction. All right, there's that tear duct there, and then this one over here maybe. I see this almost as straight and then a nice curve here. All right, where is it over here? It's like right there maybe. This is straight and then a nice curve there. All right, let me erase this brow line here. Okay, let's not be afraid of putting these eyebrows in. So it's thin coming up. Don't be afraid to fail. In fact, I encourage you to fail. Just put your mark on the page and don't overthink it. The underside of the nose, now her nose is turned up just a little bit, and you could also draw this a little bit as also a keystone shape. So let's see, we come under here like this. All right. Let's bring up our last one here, huh? And I think it's this one there. There it is. Okay, let's start with a sphere again. Now this time, look at this. She is looking downward. So let's make sure that we have that idea going here, right? This is a real 3/4 view. So let's get that center line here. There's her temple, right? There's the side of her head. Ooh, look at that. Look how off I'm on mine. Ooh, B. Oh my. Okay. Let's get this mask in here. So I'm just gonna come and trace this here so we have an idea what we're looking for. Okay. All right, so we're going to come down here. Try and match the shape. All right, and position the eye so it's like this eyeball's to the right just slightly. You see that? And this one's going to be tucked right in there. And then the eyelid wraps around it, you see? So we want to really make sure that we're getting that curve there. And I can almost see, just look at that. I'm just adding just a little bit of that pupil there. And we'll, even though I can't see it on the other side, I'm just gonna add a little bit there as well. All right, let's get this nose in place. Just keep it loose. Don't be so hard on yourself. Oh, now look at this. This is interesting. There is the corner of her chin right there. You see? Now let's see. Let's see where that lines up with. Wow, that lines up. A vertical line from that. Look at that. Right through the center of her nose. Okay. Let's get that down here. So that's gonna, that chin is going to be right about there, that corner. So look at that angle. And then I'm going to change the color here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that negative. Look at that shape right there. That just not, don't think of this as a volume here. Think of that as a shape, okay? Let's try and emulate that shape. Okay, where's that? That comes right up. And then we could start to get her hair in place, right? Where's her chin? Her chin comes in here. This is what I mean. Keeping it loose, keeping it quick. Didn't hold back. I just went for it without really, just tried to really match the proportion of shape. You kind of, what's happening in my mind is I'm using volume and mass at the same time I'm using shape. And so using the volume and mass to get the right construction, but then using shape in order to get the right proportion. If you do have additional questions, please join our Facebook group. It's totally for free. Post your questions in there. You could direct it toward me, or even down here in the comments below, you could ask a question and I will try and answer it my best. My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws. All right. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay. Bye-bye.